and welcome back to the Clean Slate campaign website. In this video, we're going to discuss our pension plan. At the end of this month, we have a meeting, general membership meeting, and our administration has invited a representative from the MPI to explain why we're only at 66.7% funded and why that's no cause to worry. Right after the negotiations, the contracts were ratified, I believe, they provided this. It wasn't mailed out to us, but it was provided. It's a brochure explaining where all the money goes and where their investments have been historically. But the most important thing to see is since 1997, 20-year history of investment return is at 5.9%. Very important, and we'll get into it right now. So the way a pension plan works, you have to picture it like a bucket. And the bucket constantly needs to be filled up because it's constantly being let out. The retirees, the money that comes out of the bucket goes to the retirees. The money that goes into the bucket is from existing new members, and that would be IATSE members, Teamsters, and the other unions and guilds that are partners or members of this pension plan. The other portion that goes into the bucket is what you'll find on the flyer we just talked about. Really, these numbers are a little closer to accurate. The 40.5% is an employer contributions, 39.5% is investments, the money they invest, whether it be in government bonds or stocks, the S&P 500, whatever it is, and then the residuals, supplemental markets, and post-60, that's 20%. In reality, these are probably closer to each other or maybe even flipped, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So what goes into the bucket? How do these funds get put into the bucket? Well, it's the hourly wage from IATSE, all the IATSE members, which are 50,000 plus. Teamsters were at 5,000 plus. And I have no idea, to be honest with you, how many members are in the other unions and guilds. There are a multitude of them. But here's what affects. Some people have been asking, you've said what's wrong. We know what's wrong. What are you going to do to fix it? What can we do to fix it? It's pretty simple. The contract that we currently have has all the wording that we need to fix it. It just needs to be enforced. Every time we lose hours, every time we lose overtime, every time we lose a penny of income as a driver or location manager or casting, whatever, as a member, every time we lose hours, we lose contributions. Specifically speaking to the drivers, our contract, we agreed to 8-hour move crews. We never agreed to split shifts. Split shifts keep you out of the 13th and 14th hour, 15th and 16th hour when you're working overtime, making more of a percentage, more money to go into the bucket. Our jurisdiction is not being enforced. We talked about that in a previous video about the jurisdiction, the 13 plus 3. If that's being enforced, more of our people are working, more money's coming into the pension fund for contributions. Drivers are being sent home early. You know equipment is working, but you're being sent home. You're being sent home at 10 or 12, 11 or 12 hours, and that truck, equipment's still coming off of that truck, and they're working 16 hours by the time they camera wrap. You enforce the rule, driver stays with the truck until we camera wrap. You force the rule, no split shifts, only an 8-hour move crew. There are not enough drivers to cover equipment. You all work TV shows. You all know that there's 14, 15 pieces of equipment and only 4 drivers, right? And worse, the hourly rate. If you're starting at MOW or lower, you're already getting hurt. We're already not getting the contributions that we need. This is just a start of things that can happen that we can do immediately to adjust the money that's going in on our part, just on our part. The other plan, or the other part of the plan, would be to get IATSE to do the same as far as not reporting their 6th or 7th day or cutting a deal or lower rates. Here's what's really concerning is the IATSE already has an SVOD agreement. This is a residual from streaming video on demand, okay? But it's not near good enough. It's not near enough to take care of it. And there are 3 main reasons, and that's the 3 things that make it requirement, okay? This residual plan is not required if it's not 96 minutes long in length. The budget has to be $30 million, and it has to be a theatrical release with a paid admission. If it doesn't meet all 3, not any of them or just one of them, if it doesn't meet all 3 of those requirements, there are no residuals from the streaming video on demand. That's huge. That's like not having a residual agreement at all. Also, IATSE agreed to a tier plan. They have a zero tier. Zero tier. It's like 16, 17 bucks an hour. It's barely minimum wage. If you remember a few years ago, when this administration tried to introduce the tier plan into commercials, we absolutely rejected it. I was very passionate about not letting that in because a tier system or a tier plan is union busting 101. It's the first thing you do. If a member is willing to do the same job for less pay at any point in time, it erodes what a union stands for. It breaks down the integrity of everything that unions have fought for. Tiers are absolutely not to be allowed in a union contract. Very upsetting. I know a lot of IA members that are upset about it because they're basically working for half price almost.